Perfect. Guys, how about this? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hey guys, so the sound now, I can see that the sound is there, but now my audio or my video capture device has started to malfunction. All right, how about this? Can you guys hear me and see me now? All right, sound is on, video is on, perfect. Look at that, tech support is not needed. Thank you guys so much for that. Now let's get started. We have 10 minutes left. Every 3 months, what is the earnings season, guys? Every 3 months, that's a quarter, a public company publishes its financial report. Now, a public company is any company that is traded on the stock market. So any company that you see here on this list of stocks is a publicly traded company. So all of these bad boys right here. Now, the end of the first quarter is, so we have January, February, March. Come April is the end of the first quarter, and around mid-April, like we have now, companies start to report their earnings. Now, the second quarter ends July, mid-July, we start earnings season, and then the third quarter is October, and fourth quarter is January of next year. So for the fourth quarter of this year, you'll only get the results in January of next year. What is included in an earnings report? Well, the first thing is how much money they made or lost, right? That's really important information. We have earnings, earnings per share, cash flow. They also report on how much credit they have to repay, the debt burden, and how much money they spent on research and development, on paying their salaries, their employees, so on and so forth. And also, you will find in the report, or more so in what the CEO says, what they expect in terms of future sales, in terms of acquisition of new clients, things like that, what they project for the future. Now, this information is important. It's very important because it gives you an idea of the economic health that the company is in. How is the company feeling financially? How is it doing financially? Now, this is all required by law. By law, a company traded on the stock market must report its information so that you guys can use this information to decide if you want to buy or if you want to sell the stock. Now, how does this information affect the stock price? Let me give you guys a few examples. So we have JP Morgan right now. They reported today. We're going to use this example. I will do some technical analysis in a little bit, but there's a few scenarios which we can have. Number one, the information can be positive. It beats expectation. Investors get all excited and happy, and they buy more of the stock, and the price goes up. Right? The second scenario is the earnings come out pessimistic. How much more time do we have? Okay, so just a few more minutes. The report comes out pessimistic. It doesn't reach the expected forecast level, and investors sell the stock and the price goes down. That's scenario number 2. Scenario number 3 is where it becomes a little bit more tricky. The situation becomes a little bit more tricky, and I want you to prepare for this. Third scenario, the general direction of the market is down, what we have right now in the S&P. Excuse me. The general direction is down, like we have here on the daily graph. Maybe it's due to the war in Russia and Ukraine. Maybe it's due to incredibly high interest rates, something that we expect right now and that we have. And the earnings report comes out positive. It comes out better than expected, which we expect for some companies during this earnings season, and the prices rise initially and then they fall, and they continue to fall for a few months. So that's another scenario. And then the fourth and one more scenario, very common, is that the earning report comes out bad for a new company, like say Tesla or say Ferrari. They raised millions of dollars on startup money. They report making no money, but instead the stock goes up. Why? Why does it happen? Because of expectations. The market is not a perfect system. It's not a rules-based system. It's a emotion-based system, right? So it's imperfect, and that actually allows you and I to make money trading. And so this happens because the company will be in demand in the future, or they have some sort of technology that nobody is able to copy. And so keep an eye out for those 4 scenarios. Those are the basic results that we can have. And the top 4 scenarios you're likely to face when trading earnings reports like we're going to be doing today. So how do you tell the difference between these 4 scenarios? Well, you can learn the ratios by yourself. Who here knows what EBITDA is? EBITDA, which stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, or ROE, return on equity. If any of you guys know what that is, go ahead and write it in chat. I do want to say a warm welcome to all of you guys. I will address you all by name at the end of the webinar. So ROE is the return on equity. We also have things like growth of sales, growth of new customer acquisition. Those are all very important statistics. And to find the official earnings report, all you need to do is go to the company's website, like we have JP Morgan Chase, and what you're looking for is IR. That's investor relation. You can write something like GSIR, right? Goldman Sachs Investor Relations, and that'll take you right to the Investor Relations page for Goldman Sachs. Tomorrow we also have Morgan Stanley. Their ticker is MSIR. That'll also take you to Investor Relations of Morgan Stanley. Today we're looking at JPMIR. And here we have the quarterly earnings for the first quarter of this year. And we have things like the earnings release, which is kind of their broad, the earnings press release is kind of their broad, really not watered down, but really like important topics are discussed in this press release. It's only 8 pages, and we have comments from the CEO, and then we have things that really interest us. Right here we cover the entire company, the entire holding company, JPM, and results for all of their transactions. If you scroll down a little bit lower, you can check out their consumer and community banking, which is now their credit branch, and you can check out the different branches. This is their investment branch, commercial banking. We're going to look at the overall company today as a whole. So in this example, this is where you can find their earnings report. You can go to an in-depth dive into their earnings statement. Now this is a little bit bigger. There's 29 pages, and we go through all of the quarters and really detail report of all of their financial indicators. Now, what I want to share with you guys today is the fact that Olymp does some of the heavy lifting for you. You don't necessarily have to sit here and dig through all of this information, because there's going to be a lot of companies that are reporting in this earnings season. So you can lean on Olymp in order to get some of that information digested and analyzed for you. So how does that work? Well, Olymp, they have an analytical department where the market experts follow these corporate dynamics and evaluate the stocks and share this information with you. So first of all, on the Olymp platform, if we go back here, you can easily tell which assets are reporting because they are going to be highlighted on the platform itself. So you can see which assets are reporting from the fixed time trade platform. They're also going to be highlighted here. If we go here to stocks, you will see, so we don't have any of the companies that are being reported, but you'll see like a little bit of information about that, hey, this stock is reporting soon. Now, you can find these assets, like I said, on the FTT Forex and stocks platform. And of course, Olymp publishes insights. I want to direct your attention to the insights. Here in the help category, here you click in insights, and there's an in-depth, detailed explanation about what's going on in the stock market. Like, for example, we had recently, we did an article on, well, for Pfizer, Caterpillar, IBM, all of these stocks will be reporting soon, and you can actually click on this article and then get an in-depth evaluation about what's going on, what is the fundamental drivers, what is some of the press releases and news that are affecting this asset. So very, very important and helpful if you don't know what to trade. If you're clicking on the platform and you're confused, go ahead and go to the insights category. Now, next, every single week, by the way, these insights are published daily. Also, every single week, the Olymp team emails a weekly email newsletter to the account which you're registered on, and like this week, we remind you that companies that are reporting are JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley, so you can concentrate your attention specifically on those companies. Then on the platform, we have stories and explanations. Let me show you where to find that. So right here, if you click on your profile, we have the likes of these little reports. And you see that there's a little timer. If you click and hold with your mouse button, you can actually freeze the timer and take your time to read and kind of digest what you're reading. These little stories help you to get the best kind of information out of the entire earnings report from JP Morgan. So very helpful, very useful. And like I said, if you miss them, you can just click in your profile window right here and learn about what we believe is going to happen with the Goldman Sachs earnings report. You can read on to what we see the stock price of Morgan Stanley will do in the near-term future as well. So again, very, very helpful and saves you a lot of time. Now, the links for these things will be available to trade, will be available for you in chat and also available in the comments section down below after the video. So if you want the links, you can find them in those areas. And finally, make sure to turn on the notifications to your platform. You can do that right here in your settings. And notifications, you can turn them on, and right here, push notifications, and that will allow a little pop-up to mention that, hey, every time new news comes out, you as a trader are going to be on top of that information and aware of what's going on and how to trade those different assets. All right, so yeah, that's what I wanted to get across to you. The markets will be opening very, very soon. In 1 minute, we'll have the likes of the JP Morgan. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get down to the details of what is happening. So we're looking at JP Morgan. We're going to look at the highlights of the news release. So we're going to have a look at all these details right here. The first thing you want to do before you get into the details, you want to open up the broad market and have an understanding of where the US markets are going. So we have the likes of the S&P 500. Let me just go ahead and open up indices so that you can see that all of the US markets, so short-term bearish trend broke support, Dow Jones bearish, S&P 500, we had a look at NASDAQ, also very bearish. So that kind of gives us an idea that the broad market, and keep in mind this is pre-market, right? This happened before the market was actually open to trade, and so we have kind of that downward pressure. Now let's have a look at how the stock behaved on previous news releases. So here we have the December quarter end was on January the 14th. So go ahead back to the platform, JPM. And let's have a look at how it performed on January the 14th. Wow, look at this, guys. So this was the 14th. It reported before the market opened. The earnings report was a 3.33 EPS, whereas the previous amount was 3.37, 3.78, and 4.5. Wow, the tendency for JP Morgan is a decline, is a massive decline in earnings. And so during the last quarter, when we saw the earnings come out, it was a massive bloodbath. And keep in mind, look at this. The important information is right here. After the initial decline, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of decline. There were 5 massive bearish days of decline after the earnings report came out. So this is something to look forward to. Wow, look at that. Again, a gap down. Now, I wanted to outline this level for you. I kept the graph clean so we can start with a clean slate. This is the support level. Wow, we broke down through the support level, and now price is hanging around there. What can we expect in the trading session ahead? Let's drop down to, say, maybe the 1 minute chart. We can expect price to rise to this level. It is very normal for a price to rise to that level and kind of give that. Remember, I showed you the 4 examples of what price can do. It can also fall and then rise a little bit. So expect that and always look forward to it, because that is a better place to enter. If it rose a little bit and we're looking to sell, and I'll show you why, then you get a discount. You get a better opportunity to trade. Now, don't open any positions until you listen to the end of the webinar. Hear out what I'm trying to say to you. Let's get down and check what the company, what we have in the earnings report itself. So Here we have first quarter of 2022, the net revenue was reported to be 30 billion, 30.7 billion. Okay, not bad. That's better than what we had in the last quarter, but check out the net income. The net income is the bottom line. This is everything after salaries are paid, taxes are paid out, loans are paid off. We have a decline in income. And the most important things, guys, have a look at this, the earnings per share. The earnings per share was a massive, just massive decline from what we saw even in the first quarter of last year. This is also very important because the first quarter in every year is usually the best quarter. Historically, the first quarter of every year is the best quarter that we usually see throughout the year. So the fact that the first company to report for the US stock market has such a massive drawdown, 2.63 versus 450 from last year, wow, that's bad news, guys. That's really bad news. And here what we have, return on equity, return on common equity, or tangible, equity is something that the management of the company likes to use. And return on equity shows you all the assets that the company owns and how much money they make per all the assets. Return on tangible equity is a little bit of a spin that they put on that reading, on that indicator, to make it, to soften kind of the blow. But even so, we can see that the massive difference is present in all of the financial statements. So now we can see that all the indicators, they show a decrease. The company may have some problems. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the statistics for the different quarters. And you can also use the NASDAQ. This is just NASDAQ's normal site. You type in here JPM, that's the ticker for JP Morgan, and just have a look at how their earnings per share has been falling across the entire year. And so what I'm telling you guys is that the forecast for the company is not so good. Now let's have a deeper dive into what can we expect for the future, right? We want to listen to the guidance report, and usually that's given during the conference call. Right here, you can sign up for the conference call. It takes you to a different website. Right here, you can register and listen to what the CEO, Jamie Dimon, and the CFO, Jeremy Barnum, what they have to say. Let's go back to the press release and see what already Mr. Jamie Dimon has said. So if we just have a look right here, these are all the comments of the CEO, and basically they're saying that the revenue is healthy, but one sec, let me just find exactly. We remain optimistic on the economy, at least for the short term. Guys, right here, at least for the short term. That means that in the future, the third quarter and fourth quarter is expected to also sink and to be lower due to all the craziness that's going on in the world today. Now that you have this information, you are armed to make better choices. You have the opportunity to take better positions. Let's continue reading. Let's see what else Mr. Dimon has said. Consumer and community banking, this is kind of the branch that a lot of the banks are putting more emphasis on, and I'll speak about it in a few seconds. Deposits are up 18%, and client investments were up 9%. All right, let's see. Our financial discipline, constant investment. Guys, I'm not going to go into detail, but you can have a look at what the CEO says and get a general understanding that the outlook right now is reserved, whereas the outlook for the longer term is pessimistic. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. There is hidden guidance within the statements of the CEO that he makes. Again, he is required by law to give truthful statements. So if ever the CEO says, oh, you know, guys, everything is fantastic. We're going to have a great quarter next year, and then they tank and they show really poor results, they're going to get fined. The CEO is going to get fined by the SEC. There may be some sort of disciplinary actions taken. So very, very important. So other banks will release their guidance or their earnings reports tomorrow. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley will both report their relations tomorrow. So Goldman Sachs plans to announce 2020 first quarter results on April 14th, guys. So tomorrow, you guys can have a look at what the report is going to be. So boom, like I said, guys, we came up to this level. Let's see how much farther the stock will go. I'm going to go on to the 1 hour graph just to show you guys that we're still below the lows of the previous week. So previous trading session, and around about where we were last week. I read a little bit more on the backdrop, the fundamental backdrop of what's happening in the banking space. So I'll just speak on it for 2 minutes. High interest rates. You guys are probably all aware that the Federal Reserve is going to be hiking interest rates. These high interest rates are going to cause the market to fall. So the broad market of the S&P 500 is likely to continue falling. Due to that action, the US dollar will likely rise. Credit banks remain the main beneficiaries because they give out credits with a high interest rate loan that will allow them to make more money. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan Chase are, Morgan Stanley, JPM, and Goldman Sachs, they are investment banks. They're primarily investment banks, but they've diversified. During Trump's presidential run, he backtracked some of the restrictions on investment banks, and now investment banks can be credit banks at the same time. Previously, that was not allowed after the 2008 financial crisis. Now they're back at it, and there's back into another bubble in the real estate market. But we'll leave that for another webinar. The situation now is that these banks, just like I showed you in this earnings report right here, consumer and community banking and commercial banking, these things allow them to give credit to organizations and individuals and allow them to make sweet lending profit. So recently, all these banks rushed into the credit market, and that's understandable due to the high interest rate environment. The biggest problem investment banks have, and I'm not sure if he talked about this right here, the biggest problem that the CEOs of these main banks see is that there is a restriction. There's a law that requires banks to have a large sum of money in a percentage relation to all of their assets that are at risk. They have to have this money sitting in accounts in cash. So to a banker, that's dead money. And that really influences their bottom line because they cannot add that money to their bottom line and say that, look, this is our earnings, this is our investment results. So that money is it's not written off, but basically it's a safety measure. And so one of the biggest issues is that these requirements are very, very high, and that eats into the bottom line of banks. So if we can look to decrease these requirements in the near future, you will see these investment banks have way better results and maybe even surprise results. And remember, when we have a surprise in the earnings in relation to the forecast, that usually is a very, very good result, and the stock price will increase on those news. But in my personal opinion, I don't think that Biden is going to have any of it during his presidency, right? Let's have a look at how the stock is behaving. So back to Goldman Sachs, guys. This is the level that I drew out. We can see that the stock has declined. Look at that, just perfect, boom, touching that level of resistance and going back down. So Goldman Sachs and Morgan Chase will report earnings tomorrow before the opening market. So what I want you guys to do, I'm giving you guys homework. Have a look at the press release of those two banks before the market is open. Guys, by the way, I'm going to open up a $3,000 position on my live account going down. I wish I opened it up from here. I will open up the position going down with a multiplier of 20. I'm going to leave this on for the long term. I will put my stop loss right above this level. So if we get too much higher above this, maybe say here, actually 25% is about the goal point. I will put it a little bit higher. Come on, baby. There we go. So my stop loss is going to be right around there. And I will open up another position if we do come up here with the same stop loss right around there. Kind of a long-term position, going to keep that open. Keep in mind that the three banks, they set a tone for the earnings season ahead. If tomorrow the two other banks report similar dismal results, we can expect a bear market to get worse in the second quarter, and so you guys should position yourselves accordingly. That's pretty much it for today's webinar. I wanted to get the information out to you guys before the trading happened. I hope you found the information helpful and informative. Make sure to hit the like button if you would like to see more videos like this with detailed explanations and real live examples. Also, subscribe to the channel in order to stay informed of future releases and events like tournaments which we hold regularly, and giveaways. By the way, you guys, we also have social media pages where you can find more information. Make sure to visit the Instagram page, the Facebook page, and our Twitter page. We're going to send all of those links to you in chat. Actually, you can find them. The reason is that a lot of the guidance that we give, a lot of the information that we give is based on or is published in those on those websites. So make sure that you guys sign up to those and get that information firsthand. All right. If you guys have any more questions, I may have missed them, go ahead and ask them in the comments section below. Other than that, let's have a look at what the stock is doing. We'll maybe outline some levels. We'll spend just a few more minutes talking about what's going to happen with the stock in the near future. Because the last support level was so far away, let's go ahead and write them out actually. So you can open up a weekly graph if this one is too short, so we can see that there are a few support levels coming up. Go ahead, draw with the horizontal line this level here and this level here. So once we break this level, this will be the sweet spot where you will have a little bit of channel trading. I'm sure that in between 113 and 123 there will be some sort of a struggle back and forth. I also want to remind you guys that there is a level of a turnaround level. Say if we break this trend line to the top side, I'm going to draw it out like this. I do believe that this would be a better trend line, something like this. But once the price comes up and checks this level, there is that very high opportunity to sell from there. So in case you're hesitant about entering right now, which you should be, you can always enter from a better level. And one of the better levels would be, let's actually draw another trend line in the short term right around here. So something of this sort. It's very possible that price will try to come up and retest this level. Again, the markets are very volatile, and you can usually get a better price if you allow the stock to come up here. Do I think that we're going to have a reversal and price will break out of this level to the top side up there? Unlikely. Very, very unlikely. There's a lot of pressure on the world markets in general. Oh no. There's a lot of pressure from you know, the destabilization of trade relations right now due to the Russia-Ukraine crisis. There's also the increase in interest rates, which will drag down consumption. It'll drag down new home sales. It'll drag down the stock market, and so it's highly unlikely that the price will reverse there. So every time that you see the stock price come up to a higher level of resistance, it's usually a good opportunity to sell from there. All right, so good job everyone who watched this webinar. I hope that you found it informative and that it brings you some success. I want to thank you for your time, remind you to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so, and yeah, if you guys would like more information, tomorrow we have a stream on the Friday strategy, which I used yesterday. Unfortunately, it did not go well for me using a shorter time frame. Perhaps my colleague will be able to show a better result. So go ahead and check out that video tomorrow. Other than that, make sure to stay tuned. We have more information about earnings season coming up. We'll have more webinars on it, and thank you guys for your time. Together with Olymp Trade, I wish you guys good luck trading out there, and see you all next time. Peace!